Welcome again to another episode. It's bound to be another cracker as always. As you've guessed, it's not GTR but Maury again. I'm stepping in for this one as GTR kids are causing him a bit of havoc. Well, not really. He's just doing the parent thing, which some of us have to do at some point. He'll be back for the next episode. So this episode brings in all the regular stuff. So with all our co-hosts and our special guest this week, Daspo, who I'm coining as the unofficial godfather. Well, maybe not godfather, that's probably a bit negative, but definitely the one of the true founding people for the mono wheel and its glory. As always, we've got our co-hosts. We've got Eva, Pete, and Alpha, and mate BroBot will, chime in every so often. Welcome back, everyone. How is everyone? Eva, how are you going?
I'm doing really well. This time coming from Adelaide. Come down to Adelaide for my dad's 90th birthday, which is tomorrow. We're having lunch. So
Happy birthday to him.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah, otherwise doing well, not coughing at all. Got over my little man flu, so yeah, great.
Oh, very good. And how about you, Pete? You're not doing
Yeah,
so well.
I'm not doing so well. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but all last week I had COVID, so I was coughing up a lung. I'm still coughing up a lung, and yeah, at least I'm feeling better. just got this annoying cough and a croaky voice, so sounding a bit like a frog.
Yeah, before the episode, we were chatting about how we were preferring this voice to the previous one. Although hearing it again now, I think that was a bit too harsh.
Nah, it's fine. It's fine. I can take it. I'm a big boy.
And how about you, Alpha? How's everything going in your world?
Yeah, everything's going pretty well at the moment. School holidays starts in a week, so get a break off school.
Yes, and us parents don't.
Mm-hmm.
Any plans for the holidays?
Just probably go on a few bird watching trips around Melbourne, but other than that, not particularly.
Nice. Have a bit of...
How did you forget about me? I've been waiting for you to notice me.
You're always in my life, mate, BroBot. But I don't need to speak to you all the time. So now this month, last month, so getting into some news, as GTR's not here, I'll be sort of filling in with my bits and bobs. But last month actually was quite an interesting month for AUSNZ. We had two teams in the CC division, which was actually really cool. I myself have actually got an out on the second team, so I was able to watch it from both sides. And going into it, it was actually really interesting because previously, prior to the change to auto matching, Team 2 would have been smashed and they would have had a horrible time in CC. Whereas with the changes to the matching, it actually meant that the Team 2 came out of it with a 58th position, which was their best one, which was really good. I mean, they didn't make it to the next season of CC, but they certainly showed themselves, and they, won 6 matches, lost 9, but some of those were quite close, which was really good. And actually, and just something for the team, our MVP with 5 wins was BG, always smashing it. And Team 1, their respective...
What does MVP mean?
Most valuable player.
Can I valuable alt in the team? There's like 8 of them.
There are quite a few alts in Team 2. They do tend to sit up the top of the leaderboard for the most part. But we do have a lot of other good people coming in, which is always good. And, a lot of people who are making their way through to Team 1, which is, part of the way that our community works in terms of the divisional teams. But it was actually really interesting in terms of there was no demoralizing matches, which can happen when you actually go against some of the top teams.
Apart from one.
That was early on, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was early on when they were finding out our skill.
Yeah, and that's when it sort of gets shuffled in. I think that happens pretty much every round, even this round or even this season. CC Team 1 is currently up against Traction, and they're getting a bit of a hiding at the moment, but we'll see what we can do to bring some of that back. But that's a top 10 team, so there is a big gap between the sort of top 10 and then the rest of the division. But it actually is quite a good. I think it's working out really well, and it's making the game very interesting, and also helping with that promotion into the CC division from Division 1, whereas people were previously, or teams were avoiding it, whereas now there's not so much of that, or hopefully maybe less than that. Also, another thing which I was just looking at, which was, it's interesting the way in which CC is going, in that there's, out of the 100 teams, over a quarter of them are from multiple teams. So like AUSNZ 1 and 2, which we don't only got the one in this one, but there are 27 teams that have got second or third teams in the CC division. So it looks like that's going to be the way of the future. So those teams that are doing it on their own, kudos to you, because it's actually pretty hard to do that. Whereas, the other teams, they've got a big bench of players that are ready to sort of step in and fill out their teams and add to it.
Are the Flying Kiwis in CC this season?
Yes, they are. I saw that. We've got a New Zealand team come through. So we've got AUSNZ, which is the combined Australia and New Zealand, and then we've also got a dedicated New Zealand team, which is awesome.
And they've done it on their own.
So good luck to them this season.
You could say, though, a team that doesn't have multiple teams has a better chance of having a larger group of top-tier players, as opposed to top-tier players wanting to be across multiple teams. I suppose most of what we're seeing is probably the second teams are full of either alts or second-tier players, but second-tier players in CC is still really good players.
Mm.
And then you've got teams like Project Joe, who had like three teams in CC, and all three of those have top-tier players.
Yeah, we've actually got quite a few 3 teams at the moment. So it's Rush National, Project GER, and United Power, which I think that might be a French Power, United Poland, and maybe another team there combined. So there's 3.
I've never heard of them, so I can't.
No, they were a new team from last season, a merged team.
Okay.
I think. But they've got three in there. So there's like three groups that's 9 teams. So it's almost a tenth of the division, essentially one team, but just they've spread their players out. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how much more that happens. So we'll, as maybe we can have a look at that next season and see what happens, whether we get some, more 3s going through. So that's enough from me. I'll now hand it over to Eva. And is it Eva or Pete? Hang on, I'm not normally doing this. So which order does it go?
I'll do it. I'll do next.
We'll go with Eva.
Yep, doesn't really
Okay,
matter.
I'm just showing my favourites, aren't I? Sorry, Pete. I'm just not liking the voice.
And I still reckon I like the sound of Pete's voice. I mean, I like the sound of Pete's old voice.
I thought I was your favourite, Murray.
Oh, let's go, Eva.
You just don't like to talk to you, that's all.
All right. So, my discussion for this podcast is talking about cups. I wanted to discuss a little bit about maximising the difference between grinding and building GP. Less about building GP and a bit more about grinding, to be honest. The cups themselves are you against 3 other players. And obviously the game is making these cups as challenging as possible without making you lose every single match or every single race. What they're doing is they're matching players that have similar cars with similar abilities, similar mods, similar performance upgrades. So then your races are going to be as close as possible. So they want it to make it a challenge and not make it an easy win. So that way you don't get bored and, it makes you want to come back and play more.
I don't know what cups you play, Eva, but the ones I get, I just like every time I play a cup that's that gets unlocked below gold 1, I just get beginner players every single time.
Yep. And I think some of that is if you're always using the same car, like there are people that say, I do all my cups with rally or all my cups with hot rod. If you start using cars that you've never used before in cups, that you've never had a PB or a time set, when you do race that cup, you'll basically get a whole bunch of people that have never played the cup as well. So you'll get people who are still
Or
not
they've
even
only played
legendary.
it. They've only just played it.
Yeah, they've only just played it. So so you're racing against people that would give you a similar time. Now, obviously, if you haven't recorded a time, it assumes you're a beginner, so it gives you beginner people. And then once you've set a time, it can then, match you against people that are closer to that time with that vehicle and those parts. Like a bit of that is if you want some, inverted commas, easy cup, gold coins for every win, and you want to get your free red chest, then use odd vehicles, use vehicles you've never used before. And part of using vehicles you've never used before, there's two advantages. One is you get to learn the track from a different perspective, because if you're using rally and you're using the same parts all the time, you've learnt all the landing points and the takeoff points and the where to accelerate, where to brake, all that sort of stuff. But every vehicle's different, so you want to learn that sort of stuff for every other vehicle. Like and part of that.
You've also got there the no. You've also got the 3 daily challenges that you get.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they often feed into that. So win
Yep.
3
Yep.
or 6 races with the motocross.
Motocross. Yeah. So you beat me to it, but yes, I was getting to that. So I always look at those daily challenges and I go, right, do I need to use the motocross or the chopper or the whatever so I can get some extra bonus points for just doing what I would do normally? So yeah, no, thanks for that. I'm glad you said that. Using the different cars means you're learning different parts of the track, and you might come across that track in a team event. You might not have the rally car available because that's your go-to car, and then all of a sudden you're stuck with, the mono wheel. I meant to straight to mono wheel. Sorry, Daspo. You're stuck with the mono
Yeah,
wheel, or you're
Daspo would
stuck
be
with.
like, "What? You use that last? Why isn't that your go-to vehicle by default?"
Because I'm not that good at it. But and part of that is trying to basically get better at the tracks with a whole series of cars. Now, obviously, everybody's got their go-to car. I'm going to talk about 4 of the ones that I used to use as go-to cars, and I still use on my alt. Obviously, rally car with coin wings and overcharged turbo. That's my preference. I don't use AB on the rally car because I tend to run out of fuel, and I set that up and I just play rally without changing anything. I just play. I don't even bother looking at what the next track is. I just play. Whereas if I'm using rotator,
Mine's magnet, afterburner, and fuel boost on the
yeah,
rally.
yeah,
That's
that
my
works too
go-to.
well. That works well as well. So these are my personal preferences, and they're not going to work for everybody because everybody plays these cars differently. With rotator, I use wings, AB, and coin. I think that's a really good combination. Sorry, AB is afterburner, and because it's got a little bit more fuel than rally, it'll last a bit longer on afterburner. And I've just found softening the suspension, lowering the brain down to to 1, just really bounces and flies. It's great. The hot rod, using magnet or landing boost with coin and fuel boost. Or occasionally you could swap out magnet for start boost if it's a short track. And then monster truck, I use wings or start boost. Again, on a short track, I'll use start boost, afterburner, and coin. I tend to use
Now
start boost.
I'm assuming you use these vehicles, your go-to vehicles, on particular tracks.
Yeah,
So,
I
or do you just pick them randomly?
no. Occasionally I might do a week or a month of a new vehicle, like just trial a different vehicle, and just try and get it to do my PBs on set by all the other cars. But if I just want to grind, I'll probably grab hot rod or rotator and just set and go, and I won't even change vehicle for tracks. I'll just do cup after cup after cup, and just grind until I've done the 10 for the red one. If I want to try and get to the next, the next boss level and all that sort of stuff, I might just keep at it. But yeah, I've had a couple of months where I did Moonlander. I had a month where I did motocross. I had a month where I did, and it's just trying to get a better understanding of those vehicles and understanding what the landing points are, because what works with a rally won't work with the rotator, won't work with the monster, might work with the hot rod, won't work with the scooter, because all the cars fly different amounts, they land differently, they maintain speed differently, the momentum changes. So it's there's a whole mix of things, and without using all of the cars, you're never going to know. So I will say, if you are grinding for GP, obviously VIP has its advantages because you get to open all those ad cups without having to wait, and you can just keep grinding. And of course, it has other little advantages of 60 gems, so you can open up 4 or 5 chests without having to wait the 3 hours or whatever.
No, because if you've got VIP, then you typically don't. All you're doing is the ads. Now that's something. When you're grinding, do you focus on grinding till the point at which you've opened up all the chests you can for free, or do you
Yes.
keep going
Yes.
when your chests are full?
Okay, so when I was grinding to build GP, I would basically grind, open cups, open the free ones, and then just keep grinding until I got bored of playing the game, and keep opening chests because I had gems from VIP or other stuff, or I'd bought gems.
So you're
or whatever.
opening. So you're opening the 12 ones, the 24.
As I get them, I just open them.
Are you opening all of them, even the 48-hour one or the 24-hour one?
Everything. I was opening everything. Just opening, getting it done, building GP. And I did that for a solid, probably 3 months. Yeah, for a solid 3 months. I went from like the first 3 months.
What did your gems? So your gems, you might have had a lot of gems from VIP, but then did they drop down quite considerably?
Yeah. I was buying, when I was building the alt, whenever I'd purposefully purchase a car that came with a pack of gems. So I wouldn't buy the car with coins in the garage. I would buy a car with a pack as I needed it for team events. So say I got to a team event, my GP was 2,500. I got to a team event and I needed hot rod, or I needed, scooter or something. They would usually, as the team event started, you'd get a pack in the shop that had the scooter, 5 chests with the scooter, and maybe 1,000 gems. And I would buy that pack to buy the scooter, get some extra parts for it straight away. But the purpose for me at the time was to build GP as and when I needed it. It wasn't about building GP just for building GP's sake. It was about building GP as I needed it.
Yeah. No, I'm much the same with that. I've got my alt. I was building GP for the events, but I've now gotten to about 7,000 and I stopped.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't think I've purchased. Oh, sorry, not purchased, but I don't think I've upgraded any parts or vehicles for this last match. I think I might have upgraded like 1 or 2 parts.
Yeah, I'm probably going to say the last 4 team events I haven't touched them. And most of my, it's gotten to the point now where I'm just doing I'm grinding for the 50k just for the extra, paints and people and that sort of stuff. But I'm not doing anything else. I'm not grinding for GP now. I'm just grinding for scrap and grinding for the extra, paints and stuff that are available.
So with your grinding to 50k, because you've got VIP, do you keep grinding after you've finished the 50k to get that extra bonus chest at the end?
I actually only play just enough that I get 50k with about 2-3 days to spare out of a month.
Is that just with your main, or is that both?
No, I don't do cups on the main anymore. Like I only play cups on the alt, and I'll like I think the last 3 seasons I did like 55k. Like I get to the bit, I do the 10 free opens through VIP, and I must say
Yep.
I'm probably about to cancel VIP on the alt. Sorry Figuresoft, but I've gotten it to where I need it to get to, and I don't really need to pay anymore. But I might start a third account. Da-da.
Oh, ooh la la.
No.
Well,
So
all
yeah,
last week I
sorry.
was all last week I was grinding to get to 50k on both accounts for the first time ever.
Yep.
Because I literally had nothing else to do because I was self-isolating from COVID.
Yeah, fair call.
So did you get to 1 million points
No,
like some people? Like I
no,
just can't
I
believe that.
just managed to get to 50k.
Yeah. Have you
Like
work out?
it was someone did it. They were talking about doing a season in a couple of hours,
Yep.
and I'd be like, hang on, if it takes a couple of hours to get to a season, to get to 1 million points, must be just
Yeah.
you know
You need to do
10.
three legendary status. I don't know. Yeah, 3 legendaries per day to get to 1 million. So you have to do 150,000 per day.
Yeah, that's a big number.
Oh, that's huge.
That's a big
Yeah.
number. Yeah. Like even my biggest season was, for my alt was my first season, and I did 250 cup points in my first season. And that doesn't include the 50 that you needed to get to start registering cup points. So that was 300k cup points in a season. But so yeah, if you want to grind, use the car that you love. Keep doing what you're doing and grind. If you want to build GP, by all means, use VIP to help. And then lastly, if you want to get a red chest really quickly and easily, use the different vehicles you've never used before on the tracks, and you'll have, inverted commas, easier races. So yeah, by all means, and don't forget to have fun while you play.
Most important part.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, from one set of grinding of the daily cups to another set of potential grinding of the Pete's Power events. I'm going to revitalize that name, Pete. I love it.
So the Pete's public power and events.
I use the public.
You
All
have some
good.
P missing.
All right.
Over to you,
So
Pete.
public events. Lately, they've been a lot better, which I'm happy about. The last one, so last week was no air and no cares, which was fixed parts, fixed vehicles, long jump on the moon. I actually didn't mind that one. I was using the chopper with the fixed parts of wings, magnet, and thrusters for majority of it. But there was one track that was no good for it, so we just used the super bike with wings, overcharged turbo, and fume boost. Those were the fixed parts for that one. That was track number 4, and there was a couple of people were taking notes of how far they got. RF, which is one of our beloved New Zealanders from our teams, he managed to get himself, where is it? 451 meters, which is pretty impressive. I didn't get anywhere near that. I think I got 498 at the most.
Is that the Superbike one?
That's the superbike one.
Okay.
So to fly that far with no thrusters is pretty good.
I think I had a best of like 530 on that.
You got 530?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's pretty good. I think the world record was somewhere around 570 something. It was in the public event channel.
572 by Lemos.
Yeah. So he's done very well to get 541. This week's public event is called Hill Racer. But when we had
when it went live, it was actually on some devices. It was actually saying initial
Yes, that's what I was
B.
just about to say. That I had it on both of my devices, like the little preview. It was called Initial B, but other people were getting the Hill Racer name, so there was a bit of confusion about that. And turns out it was called Hill Racer.
Hang on, isn't it Hill
That's the one.
Racer?
I'm not going to keep saying that because I'll end up choking. This one is, I've forgotten. Oh, it's a time event. Time attack. Yeah. Not a huge fan of time attack because I literally just grinded out the 50k, which I never do on cups. So I was a little bit over it. I haven't done a single one on my main account. I think I've managed to get about 100 points on my alt account. But yeah, it seems pretty fun if you're into that sort of thing, which I'm not.
I am, so I completed it, and yes, it is fun.
Excellent. I thought it might be.
My personal favorite was the new track in it, approaching Dread, because I know the rally car set up, and I just destroyed everyone with it.
Yeah, that's good. I've actually, one of the very first ones that I did on my old account, I got beaten by somebody using the mono wheel. I was using the superbike and I got beaten by a mono wheel.
I wonder
I
who
can
that
tell
was.
you. Just give me a sec.
Oh, I was expecting it to be
No,
Daspo.
it was not Daspo.
Ooh, he might
Wasn't it
know
that
this
French
person.
guy?
Yeah, French guy called DRKS/FA. And he managed to get 15.275 seconds on Sledgehammer. So kudos to him. Well done. I guess that's all for my public events. On to you, Alpha, to carry on with the team events.
So I'm taking over the team events this time. So
Just for this episode, if you're happy to, because I'm a little bit unprepared.
the team event that has just passed is being called Confidence, which involved a wheelie in the dreaded and overused winter track, a long jump in a winter track, which I think was reskinned from from the exact same forest track that we had in a team event a couple of months ago, which we used Monster for.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I remember doing this particular jump with Monster. I think we've also done it with Chopper, and there might have been, but this is the first time we've done it with Bus.
It's not a bad long jump. It's one of the better ones. I'd take that over the annoying Mines one any day.
I actually happen to like that. I like all the jump ones. Doesn't matter what it is. I always find them really
So
interesting.
the long jump with the bus, are we talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, just any long jump.
Yeah. I don't mind the long jump with the bus. The thrusters of level 2 is probably the smallest you could get to get 10k on that one. But you need a decent sized magnet to be able to pick up that fuel at a decent height and then thrust upwards.
And the best I've seen for track 2 has been 301 meters done by Fuel Fire.
Woo! That's a fair distance. Considering 10k is 220, he's just gone 80 meters further. Good on him.
That's some very
I
conservative.
wonder if he picked up that other fuel and then just carried up again.
Yeah, because there's a second fuel further down.
Yeah, it's at about 230 meters in.
Yep.
You'd have to have some fuel left before you could actually pick it up, because otherwise you'd just be dropping too quickly.
So I don't know what he's done. He's done very well.
So moving on to track 3, it was a moon time attack, which most people use Moonlander on, with start boost, flip boost, and coin boost.
I believe that's a new track. I haven't seen that one before.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe it's new as well. Especially for time attack, we're not using one of the ones they use for stunt coins.
And having that giant wall at the start makes things a bit difficult to not use the Moonlander.
I've seen monowheel used on it and getting like 14 flats and stuff with jump shocks, wings, and thrusters. But the best time I've seen on that track was also by Fuel Fire, 13.951.
Wow. That is very
That's
quick.
quick.
Was he using the monowheel or the Moonlander?
I believe it's the Moonlander.
Okay.
I haven't actually seen.
Yep.
I'll look it up, but to check.
He is a bit of a beast, that Fuel Fire, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Or she.
It.
Them, they.
Or them. Now you get to the make or break. I mean, how many runs have I done where I've gotten track 1, 2, 3 perfect, and then I get to this one and I just flip at the
Dreaded
first bit.
jump.
Multi-jump with a supercar. Who thought that one up? That's terrible.
That is the worst car for
It is
this.
definitely the worst car.
Actually, the worst car for it is the monowheel, because you can't do it.
I reckon you could.
Oh, you probably could actually. Maybe I reckon Daspo's probably given
He's
it a
probably
go.
beaten all of us. He's probably 10K'd it with the monowheel.
So, best score I've seen with supercar, I think it was about 570 meters. I'll see if I can find it.
That's well and truly over
Mhm.
10K.
10K was only 500 meters, I think.
Wow, that's impressive.
Have you managed to 10K it yet, Alpha?
I have not 10K'd it. My best, because I've only got level 8 jump shocks, my best is about 350.
Yep. Not bad.
The best that's actually happened is by Norken with the supercar, 632 meters.
Sure.
That would be an absolute perfect
Yeah.
run.
All good. All right. Have you got any? Have you had a go at the new one yet? The new team event?
I have not, because AUSNZ2 is still doing confidence.
Yep. Well, I've actually delayed Team 3 to make sure we get it. So I've had a bit of a crack at it, and the team event's called Talked. And yes, it has been talked about a lot.
It's actually a really good team event. I'm doing it on my alt, and I love it. If I can get the Super Diesel to work, I've used your tips. I'll use your tips on the next tickets as well for the Super Diesel. If I can get that to work, it's really awesome. I reckon I could 30K it, which is good for
It
me.
looks quite fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It
it's
is
not
pretty
about
fun.
luck.
Oh, there's a little bit about luck on the water track. There's a little bit of luck involved, but you just need to memorize the track.
There's not much luck involved if you've got a couple of ghosts to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just getting that first ghost started is the tricky bit.
So track 1 is an uphill distance with a 10K of 900 meters, I believe.
And this one we've
Yes,
done
we have.
before.
We've done it with Scooter, I believe, the last time.
Yep.
I think it's been done with scooter, truck, or racing truck. This one's been done a couple
done
times.
with tractor as well before.
The best setup would be tractor on this team event with the kangaroo. Though you can go for a
Or
safe
Super
7K
Diesel.
with coin boost. 7-8K.
Yep. It's just getting over that vertical hill is the tricky bit.
You
Just
jump shock just before that. It's
I've been
very
using
simple.
wings, coin boost, and fume boost, and gotten 77.95. I think my max on the alt.
Awesome.
And I don't slow down after the fuel like you've suggested. You basically
Really?
land properly just before the fuel, get the whole run up, and you get enough momentum. This is with max, coin, and wings to get over that first hill, and
Yeah,
then
that
you
explains it.
basically you run up that second hill and with wings, you basically go straight up, make sure you level out, and as you level out, you just fly forward onto the ledge. It's great.
Yeah, wings are fairly decent on the tractor when they're maxed out.
Yep.
Track 2, what's that one? That is the...
Oh, the new track with the rotator.
It's
Yeah.
not new. It's not new. It's been used in a rotator public event, I think.
Okay. I've
Yeah,
probably
I believe
missed
it has
Back
too.
when the rotator was first released.
first released. Yeah, it's a nice little track.
Yeah, the first part of it feels very familiar, and then you get hit by this massive uphill.
Yep.
Which you can tackle either two ways. Try and use all your momentum from the first part to go up it, which can probably only be done with level 4 coin boost, I believe. And then, or you can flip upside down after going underneath the first set and drive up it that way.
Yeah, that's the way I go.
Max brain either way.
Yeah, I've used momentum. I've upped the brain up to 10 or up to 20, sorry. And I've used momentum to get up and over.
Yeah, brain's got to be
doing it.
max on that track.
Yeah, probably getting 3 out of 4.
Yeah,
I'm
otherwise you
using
can't gain
level
momentum.
13 and it works okay.
If you've got it, like what I'm saying is you don't down tune the brain.
Yeah, you don't have
Yeah.
to, but it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
essential to have max.
No. Actually, come to think of it, I think I've only gone up to 10. I haven't gone to max.
There you go.
Mm.
And what's
Track 3 is the
Is
water
the
event.
water run.
And this is actually quite a short
It's a
water
short water track
as well.
with no ski.
No jet ski, no ski-doo.
So
You need to ride all the little lumps and bumps underwater really slow, or you can just fly over them with your super diesel.
Is this one that we've done with I think it was Hot Rod?
no, I don't think it was
previously.
Hot Rod. I think it was with Superbike. I remember a couple of people doing it with Superbike, and I was just shocked.
Yeah, I think we've done this before, definitely, but I think super diesel is the way to go.
Yeah. Yep. And then the
The
fourth
track is one of the watery tunnel ones from Cup of the City of Waters.
Yeah, it's called Get Stoked.
Oh yeah, this
Yep.
is just a time trial
one.
And we've actually done that track. I remember this. We've done that track in a daily run with the F1.
F1 has the all vehicle world record set up on that track.
Yep.
And it's a very repeatable run. There's nothing.
Yeah.
All you need, as long as you know how to reset a turbo, there's nothing hard about it.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. The track's called Cup of City Water Get Soaked.
Get soaked.
10K's 14 seconds, and the current all vehicle world record's 14.050.
Ooh, that's going to get broken.
So 10K doesn't look possible, but a high score does look possible.
It'll get broken, but it won't change on the leaderboard because it's within a team event.
Might not be broken in a team event.
Might be get broken in practice for a team event.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and then like me, I do practice. I do an amazing time, get a world record, and then can't repeat it in the team event.
Yep, every time. Well, minus the world record.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, knowing my luck, I'd get a world record, and then I wouldn't even get 4 seconds close to it in a team event. Well,
luckily this one, it's pretty easy to repeat. You don't really need to have too much skill. Just hold your foot on the throttle and time your turbo.
Like when it comes to practicing time trials for team events, if I do bother, I actually get quite high local placings.
Yeah.
That's because you're a really good player, mate. That's why.
I think the last five track time trials one we had, where you used rally car for one of the tunnels tracks, I got 5th local for that, just because I spent like 4 hours trying to perfect it in time trials for the team event.
Alpha, that was a compliment, mate. You're supposed to say, yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
That's it for the team events. Yep. Something before before we get our guest in, there was actually something I wanted to talk about before, which I actually forgot about earlier. But some big news from the FS server, which is actually the first time ever that they've actually opened up applications for the beta testers, which is actually quite a big thing because you get to see the new upcoming Fingersoft products, the new features and updates ahead of time, and all you got to do is just give back a little bit of feedback, and sometimes your feedback might not be much as well. It's interesting some of the stuff they've actually said. Like obviously you can't lie because there's a legal document for this. You've got to be over 18. They're not going to be answering any questions about it. Not before, but once you do get in, you'll be able to ask more questions. And one of the interesting things here was they're actually not looking for people who they don't care about your levels or skills. And I think it's because they want to test everything at every level. Because the game isn't designed for the top GP or the beginners. It's designed for everyone. So I thought that was actually pretty interesting. So it's a big thing from Fingersoft. So if you are over 18 and you're interested in getting to see a little bit more of the way in which things work, sign up. The link's on the FS server page and under the announcements. So have you guys signed up?
I have.
No, I haven't yet.
Yeah,
you
I've
have
put
either.
my name down. I saw it within seconds of it going up. I'm probably first on the list or close to first on the list.
Sad alpha moment.
So you haven't signed up, I'm assuming?
I
wonder why.
No, Willie can't.
True.
I applied with my Max account, and to be honest, I'd love to do it because I want to give back to the game. It's been such a great game. It's been great to be a part of it. This podcast has been really cool, and at the end of the day, I want to see it grow. And if I can help with that, then so be it.
Yeah, it would be good, wouldn't it? To give back a little.
Yeah.
One more shout out that I actually did have to give because with Team 2 getting into the CC division, one of the team players, Dilly, is it
Dilly.
Dillies? Dilly. Dilly actually recorded all of the stats for all the players for all of the events. So massive shout out because it was actually an awesome spreadsheet to look at the end of the season. I'm sure other teams do this, but to have someone just pick it up without being asked was pretty cool. So thank you, Billy, for that. I know I appreciate it.
Feed me stats.
Yes, there was a lot of stats in that. It was actually quite cool and interesting, actually, some of them. So now we're at the point in the podcast where we introduce our guest. Now, our guest is widely known, particularly for Monowheel, has done quite a lot for the community to try and bring all sorts of groups together with, I've forgotten the name of the server, he'll be able to remind me, which had all of the different types of vehicles that you could use, and it would point to their servers. But then also had the Mono Wars server, which has been widely popular, and it actually was one of the first servers. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to get this right, but it was actually one of the first servers in Fingersoft they announced in the server to say, go and join this event. And it was the first public event that was crowdsourced, so to speak, which Daspo and his crew were all involved in. And so, yeah, with a warm welcome to Daspo. Oh, you're welcome. It's good to have you on here. I mean, you've been a long time player of the game and done so much. It's really appreciated.
To follow up on what you were saying, it was HCR2 Wars Global I created, but I forget who created the HCR2 server links. He did such a much better job. I ended up getting rid of that server, but my idea was to take all these different. Once I created Mono Wars, I wanted a place to put all these other servers that people were, Tractor Wars and everything like that started popping up. So, and this guy came in, I think he went by the guy name of Clicks. Made this HCR2 server link server, and it was just so much better than what I had planned to do with the HCR2 Wars Global. So I kind of just got rid of that one recently. It was so inactive, and he did it.
Well, that's what always happens. I mean, everyone sort of starts an idea, and then just someone takes it and runs with it and does something completely
Right.
different.
Yeah, my original idea was just to have it as server links, just the way he was doing it. But then we kind of wanted to be able to post the results in there on each spot. It just never really took off the way I thought it was going to be. But it was super cool. Yeah, once Mono Wars got started, people started wanting to do other competitions. And I know the guys at the PR server and, Riders of the Storm, and I'm forgetting a couple of those other clans that were doing races all the time. And then actually it was when I was in HCR2 Wars Global is when I actually came across Maury's bot. And I had no idea who Maury was. And I had joined the server of your guys' Australian daily challenge, and sitting there looking at this stuff.
It was actually really early on
Yeah,
you joined.
it was right
really
after
early on.
it was shortly after they did the first Fingersoft GP. Saw this and I was like, holy cow, how is he doing this? And then I started talking to you. I actually posted about it in that server. I remember talking to all these different pit crew members about, you guys got to check this out. You guys got to check this out. And I finally got Velky to look into it. He was kind of hesitant at first. And then you were like, dude, I can do whatever you want. What do you want me to do? And you made it happen. So it was super fun to be a part of that.
That was a long time ago for the bot. But actually, let's just go back a little bit further. So what's your history with HCR2? So you pick up the game and you start playing, and then what?
Yeah, I started playing. Actually, I had 2 accounts. This is my second account. The first account, I ended up I was getting frustrated because I was playing so much, and I ended up deleting the game. And then about 15 days later, I was like, I kind of want to try that again. So I installed it and realized I didn't back it up to Google Play. So rookie mistake. So I had to go through the grind again. And as most of everyone in the HillClimb community knows, I absolutely hate cups. So I grinded until I could get to the mono wheel and started using that, and that's kind of how everything started.
So did you use mono wheel on your first account?
That is that was when I was using it before parts. So it was super, super challenging.
That was actually really challenging.
Right, and I was addicted to it then, but I was spending too much time. I was just trying to beat my personal best and stuff, and I uninstalled it. And then I was sitting in the airport one day, and I was looking for another game to play, and I came across HillClimb Racing 2 again, and I was like, "Yep, gonna do it." So downloaded it, and all I wanted to do was get to the mono wheel again. So that was my goal. Once I hit the mono wheel, I really stopped playing cups for the most part. I think Trophy Road came out in early 2020. I remember that's when I was trying to find mono wheel players in the game, looking on Discord. Originally, I joined Discord because I had my own team and I was trying to find people to join it. It was really tough. I hated being a team leader. It was fun, but at the same time, it wasn't my thing. And then I saw the Fingersoft GP trailer. Whoever did that trailer did an amazing job because it just sparked an idea in my head. I was trying to get people in my own team to use the mono wheel in the daily race. Once I got into Discord, I realized you could get friend links. That was kind of when things started to be like, man, we need to do once a week. Let's just get everyone to do mono wheel. And they were like, dude, who uses that vehicle? No one uses that vehicle. And I was just like, someone does. So I started searching the leaderboards, and I obviously saw Jebstone, 73, Datto, all those guys from the Mono Wheel Pro guys were showing up. And at the time, I think they had a team called Triglove. I think they still are a team. But
Yeah, they're still going.
yeah. So when 2020 hit, it was March, maybe February, I was trying to find people that wanted to do challenges, and I was trying to become the best monowheel player in the game. No one even talked about the monowheel in the HillClimb racing chat. So I tried finding people. I basically begged people to do a challenge for me so I could get a video out. And then I saw that video for the Fingersoft GP, and I was like, dude, I could do I could do this in the daily race rather than doing challenge base, because who wants to waste all their gems? That was my first thought. The people that have high GP in the monowheel, let's give it a shot. So I started asking people if they wanted to use the daily race as monowheel only, and I got like 8 people in there. I was pretty stoked about it because it took me a long time to even get that, and all of a sudden people just started joining. The guys from DC Discord team, I had like DC Pete, DC Ice Edge, DC Jahani. If it wasn't for those boys, and 42 points. If it wasn't for those boys, I don't think Mono Wars would have took off the way it took off. But they reached out to like Team Finland. They reached out to like people on the Vershak teams and all those high level players, and people just started joining the server. And before I knew it, I had 20 people in my daily race, and then it went to 30, and that's just super, super cool, super fun time.
Yeah, and you actually haven't changed the format that much, have you? Like I know the format you had at the start, it was actually a pretty solid format.
Yeah, so I didn't really know how I wanted to do it. At first, it was just me posting results. And then I started talking with Zoheb Pro. He was on the Vershak team. I think he still might be it, but I call him Z. And I said, dude, I need a place to put this server for Mono Wars, because I was doing it in my own team server, and they were people were coming into the server and they didn't know how to separate the channels and everything. So it was kind of causing some tension. And I was like, I think I need to make my own server. He's like, I can do that for you. So we made our own server and we started having our own competition. And then he had mentioned to me, I was like, what if we kept points? And my background before I got into everything, I used to race snowmobiles. And it's like basically motocross on snow. So I know how like.
Is that in real life?
What's that?
Is that in real life? Did you do that?
In real life, yeah, it's called snowcross.
Cool.
Yeah, I raced it basically since I was.
Actually, here's a segue for you. Why didn't you choose why didn't you choose the snowmobile as your go-to vehicle rather than the mono one?
I did like the
Monowheel.
snowmobile, but to be honest, nothing against Fingersoft, but they don't know how a snowmobile actually acts. It does, I mean, if you were to come in and hit those bumps the way you hit on that in the snowmobile, you'd be ass over tea kettle, for lack of a better term. So, but no, I did like it. It was fun, but it was something to do with the monowheel.
Does the monowheel behave the same way as a normal monowheel?
I guess I've never driven a real monowheel, but I can imagine it does.
Yeah, I would definitely do all the face plants.
Yeah, there'd be more broken bones, I think, in real life.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't imagine.
More neck flips.
Yeah, my younger brother has one of those one wheels, and he was at a bachelor party or something, and he was showing off, and he had his shirt off, just gym shorts, was on the one wheel, and then because if you lean forward, it goes faster, and if you lean backwards, it slows down. Well, he caught a little gravel, and it just went wide open on him, and he completely face planted. He had scars all the way down his back, all the way. It was completely skinned up and stuff like that. And I was just like, nope, I'm not going to try that. I'll just stick to the game. So
I'd like to have a go at one of them.
The 2D version.
But yeah.
So he didn't die?
No. He's a tough dude.
Good.
Yeah.
So he can laugh at his expense.
Oh, God, yeah. It took him a couple months to heal, though. He was at the lake, and I was like, what did you do? It looked like he got eaten by a bear. But back to the whole beginning of the Mono Wars thing, once we started the competition, I was really wanting to get Jebstone in there. Or Jepstone. I wanted to get those Mono Wheel Pro guys in there, and I was looking for them, and I couldn't find them anywhere. And then someone, I think he goes by the name Stark, and I don't talk to him anymore. I don't even know if he's active. He goes, I used to be on Team Triglove. I'll reach out to you. I'll reach out to him for you. And one day, as we're getting like things set up for like the point system, we hadn't even started the actual Mono War Season 1 yet. All of a sudden, these Mono Wheel Pros start showing up, and we're all posting our mono cards, and I thought I was just, top notch. I had 5 million meters on my card, and I thought it was, everyone else had like 300,000, 900,000, like just nothing. And all these guys post, and they're like 15 million, 22 million. I was just like, wow, the pros are here. They are here.
Yeah.
And man, those guys came in and they showed us the best lines. If it wasn't for those guys joining, I don't think people would have gotten into it as much as people did, because everyone that was serious about the mono wheel deletes their friends in the game, besides the ones who use it. Because if you delete everybody, at least if you delete everybody up to the first place mono wheel, then you at least have one ghost that you can follow. So if there's 10 people, that are using different vehicles that are ahead of the first mono wheel, you delete those 10 people, and then you're always going to have a ghost of someone who's using the mono wheel, so you can see their line. And when I do it, I delete everybody who's not using the mono wheel, so I can see everybody. But that was the big start, and those guys were absolutely insane. And I mean, it took them years to find those lines. It took them, and they just did it as a team, and that's why all those guys were on the leaderboards. And then you had people like PR Vulcan and Dark Smoke from French Academy, and DC Pete, DC Jahani, DC Ice Edge. All those guys started coming in, and they're really good players. They know how to handle all the other vehicles, but these guys showed us the lines. And then not only that, but you have to know how to tune the mono wheel. So that was the real trick. So the mono wheel pro guys were kind of like secretive, like kind of like how like PR and like the RS guys don't share their tunes. The mono wheel pro guys didn't really share their tunes. But once everyone started getting used to the lines of what we needed, and then people started learning how to tune the mono wheel community just turned into this big sharing, like, dude, tried stability at 3 all the way up on air control, and we just post and we share and we just see who's the best, and we love it. Like, I just love the mono wheel community. It's so great, and it has grown to be something that I never thought would even be where it was. And then
you then got a public event from Fingersoft.
Dude, that is the craziest story. Looking back on that, that's probably the best moment.
Unfortunately, we won't have time to hear that story. No, I'm joking. Go for it.
If we can cut it now, it's nice talking with you guys. No, so one day someone had screenshotted something that was in either the HillClimb Racing chat or it was the general chat, and it was Reese saying, someone was talking about the mono wheel being a, whatever, like mono wheel this or something. I'm sure I have the screenshot somewhere, but then Reese said, actually, I really love the mono wheel. I always have. I love what those guys are doing in the server, and I'm thinking about trying to do a Mono Wars public event. And someone screenshotted it to me, sent it over, and I was just jaw dropped. And I'm like, no freaking way. And like 2-3 weeks went by, and I didn't hear anything. And obviously, I didn't have him in my DMs yet, so I wasn't chatting with him. And I just kept posting the results, and he shows up in the Mono Wars server one day, and I'm getting pings at like 5:30, 6:30. My phone's just going off crazy, and I'm like, what's going on? So I get in there, and I got Cody and the guys from Discord, and everyone's in my inbox like, dude, where are you? You got to check this out. And Reese had said, the rumors are true. We're going to be doing a public event based off you guys' competition. I need you guys to help build it. And it was, that was just the most amazing feeling. It was so surreal. It was like
that was pretty
what are the
cool.
chances I think that was the first event ever to happen that was community based.
Yeah.
Now, if I remember, the very first, when it first started, they actually didn't. Fingersoft left out thrusters.
Yes. So when the Chinese, so everyone was super pumped. So we told them the tracks. We told them, and we understood there was only going to be like 3 minutes, right? So like we were like, well, we can't do like down the tube. No one's going to finish it. So we tried to go with tracks that were like, I guess, easy, or like we thought were easy at least. And we wanted to have all max parts because we wanted to showcase what the mono wheel could do. And in my eyes, I was hoping we could do tuning parts, but Reese just told us this is no way. It's got to be a fixed vehicle. And then when it came out, someone sent me a video and he's like, dude, what are you going to do? And I just got DMs all day. And they're like, did you see the Chinese version? Did you see the Chinese version? I'm like, what are you guys talking about? What do you mean? I had no idea what the Chinese version was. And someone sent me IO's video. And I fast forward it. And I start watching and I see there's absolutely no thrusters on there. And I'm like, what? And I see how the settings are fixed and the settings were completely wrong. I was like, oh my God, no. And people are like, dude, this is not going to happen. Like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to fix it. And they're like, you can't fix it, dude. It's coming out like in 3-4 days. And I said, well, I'm going to try. So I ended up messaging Reese and I messaged into the pit crew channel at the time. I was so angry. I thought they were going to do exactly what, how many tracks do you run that you run mono wheel without thrusters? And you're talking about maybe three or four. The rest of them, to do the best map, they all have thrusters. So without thrusters on there, everybody was disappointed. I mean, I didn't even want to play. I was like, if it comes out, I don't even know if I'm going to play it, because it was just like, it was really disappointing. So I messaged him and I was said, without going against my NDA, I basically told him, this is what I thought we were going to get. This is what we got. I said, it's set up right now. It's a bobblehead. It's just going to be a disaster of event. I said, you need these parts added and you need to fix the tuning. And it needs to be set this way. And he said, all right, tell me the exact tunes you want and the exact parts you want, and I'll add them and I'll have them change it. And like 2 days later, the event came out and like the whole entire Mono War server just erupted. It was probably the best moment I've ever in my whole HillClimb Racing 2 career, I guess you could say, was when he joined the server and when I was able to get that change. So Reese, I love you, man. Thank you for listening. It turned out people kept messaging me like, dude, this is actually a really fun event. People really enjoyed it. And then you had Tractor Wars, so our Hill Climber Wars came out after that. Tractor Wars, Super Bike Wars. I can't remember how many different public events there's been.
It's definitely opened up the game.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's opened up the game for a lot of things.
Wasn't there a second Mono Wars as well?
There was a Mono Wars 2.
Thought so.
Yep.
And were you guys involved in that as well?
Basically, they just duplicated it. It was the exact same event, basically. If they do a Mono Wars 3, which I don't know if they're going to, but if they do it, I hope they get rid of air control part. I hope they get rid of the tires. I hope they get rid of afterburner, because they're not needed in those. There's only like 4 or 5 parts that you'll use in the whole entire event. It's mostly going to be thrusters, wings, and fuel boost, or it's going to be overcharged turbo, wings, and thrusters. You might use coin boost on one of them, and fume boost. Fume boost is used on one, but for the most part, you could probably use wings, thrusters, and fuel boost and be fine.
Maybe I need to just make that part of what you just said a bit louder in the podcast, so then just in case Reese has walked away from his phone for a second while it's going, he'll still hear it.
Well, what bothered me was I'm watching all these guys when people join a lobby. Once you get into the lobby and the lobby fills up, you always get to see somebody right away, and then and then once you make your first run, then the whole thing adjusts. You got people using air control part. Then you got people using like thrusters isn't even on there. So thruster should be the first part in the list. Then we should have fuel boost in the list, and then it should be wings, and then it should be overcharged turbo, and then it should be fume boost. And then you could add magnet, but I honestly don't think magnet even comes into play in the whole entire event. So you really just need those parts. Maybe, and jump shocks. You want jump shocks in there too, because I think it's trial of balance. To get the best time, you need jump shocks. But yeah, that whole event was just crazy. And then after that thing happened, right before that whole thing happened, I got an inbox request from Reese, and he had sent me an application for pit crew. And I was absolutely mind blown. I didn't even know what pit crew was really. I didn't think it was possible to even get. I just thought you had to be a big YouTuber. I was just doing this whole Mono Wars thing because COVID happened. I had nothing to do. All of my revenue had dropped. I do cash registers and point of sale systems and credit card processing, online ordering, and all that stuff. Well, all the bars had closed. So I had absolutely nothing to do with my life. That's how this whole if COVID didn't happen, Mono Wars wouldn't even been a thing. So yeah, it's crazy.
Another reason why you came on. So your Mono Wars server, it's still there, and it's actually there's no events at the moment because about a month ago, was it you messaged me or I messaged you and just asked how things were going, and then you said you wanted to transfer ownership to me. Which I'm currently the owner of Mono Wars now, which I've got to transfer it back if you're wanting it.
So yeah, we can get into that in a little bit. So we had Mono Wars Season 1, which really wasn't called Season 1 at the time. It was just a weekly event. And then I did Mono Wars Season 2. And then Mono Wars Season 3 came in, and was it the end of 2021? Middle of 2021, maybe March of 2021, I think it started. I just been dealing with a lot of personal issues. My marriage with my wife wasn't going so well, and I kind of just wanted to try to focus on things with that. 2020 was really hard. I got super depressed during that time, and if it wasn't for HillClimb Racing 2 and the Discord community, I think I would have fell a lot faster than I fell, basically. It got to the point where my relationship with my ex-wife now was super toxic. And we just didn't get along. I slept downstairs for eight months. She didn't want me in the same bed, and basically came to the point where she said to me, like, I don't think this is working. And I refused. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to be a failure. I didn't want to fail my family. And finally I just said, you know what? I think you're right. Like, what are we doing? Like, this isn't working. So we decided to separate. Separated. I moved in with my parents. They're only like 2 miles down from me. And this might be a good time for Alpha come off. Did Alpha go off?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's already dropped off.
Nothing against Alpha, but we're getting some personal stuff here. So I went downhill really fast when me and my wife split at the time.
Well, that is a hard thing for anyone. I mean, breaking up of a relationship, you know, there are a lot of big things that happen in your life, and if that's one of the ones that happens, that's a really big thing.
Yeah, it was, and man, I'm gonna get real personal here, but I started. So I moved in with my parents, and every time I'd come home, I'd drive past my house, and then I'd turn onto the bridge, and I'd go across, and I'd pull into my parents' driveway, and I would just park my car and just start sobbing. Because every time I got there, I knew why I was there is because of I failed my marriage, and there was nothing I could do. Me and my ex were not getting along. We could hardly talk to each other. Things got so toxic between us that it got to the point where the reason why we split up more so than anything was we didn't want to be arguing in front of our children. So I just sobbed every time I came home, and it was just a really tough time. And then one day I find out that, and I'm still paying all the bills at the house and I live with my parents, and then I find out that my ex got approved for her own house. So that was really tough. That's kind of when I knew there was no going back. And that's when everything was over. So I really fell into a slump, and I was just using Discord and the game to escape from everything. And when I wasn't working, I'd watch Netflix till 3 a.m. And finally, when I moved back into my house, and everything was gone except for my bed, a kitchen table, my office chair, and my computer. It was so empty.
So you were doing everything. You were doing everything you could to escape.
Everything to escape.
What was actually
Right. My
happening in
dad
real
was
life.
like, "All right, so we probably got to get your house on this. You probably get your house cleaned up. Let's get all the stuff out of it. Keep what you need to live, but let's get it fixed up so then we can get it on the market." And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then when I get home, I start going through things, and you see a picture, or you see a game that you guys used to play, or a puzzle that we put together, and you just start sobbing. And I wanted to do anything but anything. So when I had my kids would come over every 2 days, and then they go to her for every 2 days, and then I'd have them for the weekend, and then we'd flip flop. So when I had my kids, my mind was fine. Like, I was able to get through, and I was just super keeping myself busy basically. When I didn't have my kids, I just wanted to escape, and I wanted to find any excuse to avoid responsibilities. Not only did the game and Discord provide distraction for me, but it just became, it wasn't enough, and I started engaging in pornographic videos online, and it became a huge problem. Every time I had my kids,
Again, just a further escape.
the game was the escape, just I needed something else. And then I was watching YouTube all the time. Then I was watching Netflix, and basically I started doing all of these. But I'd go to McDonald's and get burgers, come home at 5:30, and I'd crawl in bed and I just start watching Netflix, and then I start playing my game, and then I get on Discord, and my parents are messaging me, "Hey, how's everything? Let us know when we come over and help. We would love to help you." Yeah, no, I'm doing some stuff. I'm just not ready yet. I'm waiting for my ex to come over and take some stuff out. Just every excuse in the book. And it got to the point where I didn't have my kids, and the game was getting boring, and I didn't want to be on Discord anymore, so I would start watching porn. And that became this huge thing, and I started spiraling. My life started going down. Like, I started feeling really terrible about myself. I wasn't, all my goals, everything. I had no goals, nothing. I just basically was existing. And people kept asking me, "Hey, when's Modern Wars 4 season 4 coming? When's Modern Wars season 4 coming?" I'm like, it's just give me some time. And then back to where you were going with it, Maury. I basically, one day I decided, actually, I started this thing called, I was online reading about porn addiction and why it's such a bad thing. And I think I'm sure everyone on this podcast has watched porn at some point in their life. And it's in small amounts, I'm sure it's fine. But when it becomes like a everyday thing, you feel so terrible about yourself, and it affects you, just not at that moment, but it affects you all the way through work, and you talk to people, and then when you get home, you're feeling sick to your stomach. So you basically, anything to feel better again, you go back to porn just to feel good, just for a little bit.
Yeah, any addiction, like even people who have gaming addictions, It's the same thing. As I understand it, the pleasure centers in your brain kick off at that association, and then they it's an artificial spike.
And what really set it off for me was it was getting worse and worse, to the point where it was almost an everyday thing. As long as I didn't have my kids, that's what I was doing, and I was watching YouTube, watching Hulu, anything to escape. Finally, I heard the grapevine that my ex was seeing somebody, and that hit hard. And it's never easy to picture that. And I just looking at my life, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You got to make a change. And I talked to my younger brother, and I was like, dude, I don't know what's going on. I'm a mess. I'm not really proud of my life right now. And I told him about my porn addiction, and that I was, engaging in those acts on a regular basis. And
was he the first person you spoke to about it?
Yep. He was the first person, and he goes, "Well, dude, I've been there. Back in college. I kind of was engaged in that myself. And he goes, "Have you ever heard of this thing called NoFap?" And I said, "NoFap? No. Yeah, maybe I have. I guess I've came across it. Is that like when you don't watch porn and all that stuff?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You can do it for 30 days, you can do it for 60 days, or you can do it for 90 days or longer. However long it takes you to cure your addiction." And he's like, just go online and just type in NoFap and start looking up some stuff. I came across this website called Your Brain on Porn. And dude, I mean, if anyone listening, if they engage in watching porn on a regular basis, I highly recommend you check out that website and just search NoFap on there. I mean, the guys on there claim that it gives you superpowers. So like I'm sitting in there looking at this and I'm feeling like the worst of my life and I'm just ready to try anything, you know? And I start reading all these stories and I'm like, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. So I downloaded this app and it's called Fap Track. And I'll open it up right now because I haven't looked at it in a few days.
But it sounds like you started to get control of what was controlling you.
I've gone 61 days, 17 hours, and 52 minutes since the last time I've engaged in those acts. And man, once my brother told me about that, I decided that I was going to do that. And by day 7, my confidence came back. By day 12, I started realizing that I was looking people in the eye when I talked to them. Like I used to go into the grocery store and go up to the clerk and I wouldn't even look them in the eye. I'd be like so embarrassed. I remember listening to this TED Talk about it. And they were saying like, hey, who watches porn and then brags about it? Not a single person, because you all kind of feel guilty about it. Maybe when you're younger, it's like the coolest thing you've ever, it's new and it's exciting and it's great. But I think there's this idea around porn and guys. It's just what they do. They have no idea of the detrimental effects that it can have on you. And by the time day 14 came around, I was feeling, the struggles to stop were real. And obviously there was the temptations and stuff were there, but I woke up feeling energized. Women started looking way more beautiful. You just start looking at women differently. You start having different connections with people, actually wanting to talk to them. And it's been a journey, man. And so what I ended up doing was I ended up saying, all right, but it was like day 7, day 8, and I was like, I'm cutting everything bad out of my life or I'm going to limit it. So I decided to put an app timer on my HillClimb Racing 2. And when 30 minutes hits, the game shuts off. And I decided to leave every single server on Discord. I was like, this is it. Like once I got my confidence back and I knew that this stuff was real and I was making progress, I was like, I'm just going to cut everything out. And I remember getting messages from like 20, 30 people. Dude, I saw you left the server. Everything okay? And I know a few guys even reached out to me. I really appreciate it. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going through a hard time right now. I just need some time. And I remember reaching out to SJ and Reese, and I said, hey, I was like, I'm going through a tough time. Is it okay if I leave the server? When I come back, when I'm ready, I would like to have pit crew still. Is that okay? And they're like, dude, you take your time, do your thing. And I was just like, okay. So I even left the Fingersoft server, and then the last server that my baby, I didn't know what to do with that one. So I talked to Maury, and I said, dude, it's going through a rough time. Did you take it up? Did you hold it for me? And he goes, absolutely, bro. And it's just like, I wasn't in a single server for over a month and a half, and it changed my life. I'm ready to come back. My house is all fixed up. I've had 3 showings already, and I'm ready to sell my house whenever someone puts an offer in. So that's why I'm coming back, and I'm slowly adding servers. I'm back into the Mono King server. I'm back in the Fair Play server. I'm in the Fingersoft server. I just got invited back to the I8 community. They just do it's like a daily challenge stuff. And if anybody out there is struggling with anything,
Definitely a roller coaster ride there.
It's crazy. I didn't believe any. They call them superpowers, the NoFap superpowers, and I thought it was all BS. But basically, the list that I just had a list here of a few ones that I experienced, and I'll just list them here for you. Ones that I experienced were increased happiness, boosted self-esteem, higher energy levels, reduced stress, lower anxiety, better sleep, improved concentration, reduced ED, deeper appreciation for your partner, better self-control, and less anger. That all happened after I stopped watching porn. And
Yeah, I think from me personally, mine was World of Warcraft, similar sort of thing. Everything becomes focused on that. There's nothing else that I was thinking about beyond that, and I had to do the similar thing. I had to uninstall it. I haven't installed it. I've still got the game sitting there, but I've never gone back and played it. But that was the same thing. It took me probably a good 3 or 4 months to actually start focusing on life
right,
again. So same sort of thing, and I think that's the common thread with all
right.
addictions. But the thing that I think is actually pretty interesting here is the whole community aspect. And did you expect that? Did you expect that when you started leaving servers, you'd get all these people
I
started
thought I'd get a
messaging you?
few people, but man, I did not expect the support that I got. I didn't realize how many people appreciate me. I mean, we're all virtual people. Like we don't know each other. We just we know each other's PFP and the name, and we see each other in the game, and we have this relationship. And I talked to before I left out the servers. I mean, I talked to people on here more than I talked to my real in life friends. And I guess in a way, I guess you guys are real life friends.
Mm.
Everyone kind of cared. Everyone was there to support me, and they're like, "Dude, what's going on? Like, I saw you left this server. I saw you left that server, and just said I just need some time to get my life together. I'm just going through some real stuff right now, and it's tough." And yeah, anybody out there that's got an addiction, no matter. I mean, look at Gutter Butter. I respect that dude so much, and he's an amazing person. If you guys haven't talked to Gutter Butter or heard his story, I know he's been on a podcast with the Fair Play server. I mean, he used HillClimb Racing too to get out of his addiction, and I can't remember what he was on, but it doesn't matter what your vice is. But unfortunately, mine was porn, and it's too readily accepted that males look at that stuff, and I don't think people know how bad it is for you and how much it actually hurts you. And if you're in a rut or you can't figure out why you can't get to the next level in life, I would highly recommend looking up NoFap online and just trying it and do 7 days. Probably make it 7 days, go 15, go 30. I'm on day 61.
I think looking at all vices, if you're in a rut and you've got vices, that's where look at maybe getting rid of those to then allow yourself to focus on those other things, those things that are
Right.
important.
And
that's the same. That's the same for what you've
I
done.
think I reached out, so I started talking to this girl about on day 15, and she was going through the same thing I was going through. She was in a bad divorce, and I was going through a divorce, and we basically started talking to each other about our different relationships, and we get on the subject of sex, I guess, and I told her about it, and she was nothing but supportive, and she was super happy that I opened up. And I think people are afraid to talk about it, and you just can't be afraid. Admit that you think you might have a problem, and they will support you.
That's with any vice. When you're in that vice, you don't want to talk about it because there's something wrong about it, but you don't want to stop it because it's giving you that artificial
Right.
high.
And I remember.
And it's not until you can
Right. When
recognize it yourself.
I remember before I had left the servers. No, I think it was right when I left the servers. I had Eva reach out, Maury. I think Pete might have reached out. I think Goose, I think his name is.
Yeah, Goose.
Yeah, and I had
Yep.
lots of my monowheel the monowheel guys reached out to me too. Like, dude, what's going on? And everyone seemed to have a story. And everyone seemed to have, dude, I've been through the ringer myself. Like, it's not easy. Like, one guy said, I've been through 2 divorces. I've been through a divorce myself. I mean, the stories that came up made me feel like I wasn't alone. And I just needed to try to cut everything out, try to start going to bed on a decent time. And I'm still working on going to bed at a decent time and better, and cutting off watching movies and stuff. But I cut out Discord. I cut out HillClimb Racing 2. I limited to myself to 30 minutes a day, and just start making small changes. And I'm going to start trying to eat better and start treating my body better now. Now that I'm feeling better, I want to start working out and all that stuff. So I think you just take baby steps. But yeah, I thought it was a very important thing to come up here and talk about that stuff, because everyone was
Hopefully,
kind of asking.
working out can be your new addiction.
Yeah. It's an embarrassing addiction,
So-
but
so now that-
I'm sure my parents are going to be listening to this podcast and they're going to be like, "What the hell?" So sorry, Mom. But yeah, it's just it is what it is.
Yeah. So now that you're on the up and up, not wanting to put pressure on you, but Mono Wars.
Yeah.
What's the
Well,
plans?
I gotta get registered for the bot again, and we gotta get that spreadsheet ready. But actually, I was talking to Razor today, and I was like, dude, anyone from the RS crew know how to get the daily rotation? Because those guys know what track's coming up and when. So he sent me a list. I'm just gonna peek at it right now, and I might just make an announcement right now. Let's just take a look. Season 4.
Well, your next season. What's going to happen?
Well, I hadn't thought about it too much. People have been asking me. Let's tentatively say middle of May. I'll make an announcement. I'll make an announcement, and we'll make it
Ooh.
official sometime.
Well, you just have. You
Yeah,
just have made an announcement.
I'll make the exact date.
You just have made an announcement now. So it's
Can't
official.
go back now.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna devote my alt to Mono Wars. I'm looking forward to it.
There we go.
Maybe we'll see if we can get some AUSNZ players coming into it.
That's actually one of my questions I wanted to ask you guys.
Oh, I reckon we can make that happen.
I think I'll join the Mono Wars and beat everybody.
There we go.
You're armless. You're just armless. You are.
Yeah.
Your cousin will be helping run it. We won't have you racing.
Yeah, that's insider knowledge. Can't have that.
Yeah. Actually, well, I think that's actually been quite an interesting chat, but I think we should get to
Yes,
some
yeah.
questions, because otherwise we're going to run out of the podcast before we even get to there. Eva, have you got any questions?
And this is the first question that's in the question server. It's from a guy called I can't pronounce it. It's Daspo. Daspo, and it says, "Oh, wait, no, seriously now."
Yeah.
I wanted to, before I asked a question, I just wanted to say, mate, listening to your story and, having been through it myself and all that sort of stuff, there's always someone who's been there and done that and happy to listen. So I'm not saying this to you, I'm just saying this to everybody who's listening. We are all here, and everybody here, and I'm speaking on behalf of everybody here, but I, for one, would be happy to talk to anybody about anything with no judgment, no nothing. It's just talk. And yeah, I'd say that. I say that about most of the people on here. I'd probably say that about all the people on here.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
It's better to get it off your chest rather than hold it in.
If anybody wants to reach out to me if they're struggling with if they hear my story and they're struggling, I'd be more than happy to talk about it. So I'll be there for anybody. If it's about the mono wheel or if it's about something else, just reach out.
Yeah, agreed.
Excellent.
Agreed. I'm going to ask my own questions now, as opposed to the question from Daspo, who was questioning himself. When you first played the game, I think you've probably covered this, but what got you actually hooked into the game?
The mono wheel. It was just
Okay.
actually the dune buggy is what kept me going. I really liked the dune buggy. It was, at the time it was my gateway to get the mono wheel, I guess. And it was that was kind of what and then I eventually got the rally too. But yeah,
The dune buggy was cheap to buy and upgrade.
right. And it was so fun. It was so fun.
I did the same. When I started, because I started before Teams was about, and I think I did the same with the Dune buggy.
I think you don't realize how not fun the dune buggy is until you get other vehicles. But until then, the dune buggy is a lot of fun.
Yeah, agreed. And when, like, just before everything stopped, I know this is a bit personal, but and you've touched on what happened after, but how many hours were you devoting to the game and mono wars and gameplay and everything else before you realized enough was enough and you had to switch off?
I guess that's like a two-part question. So when I'm in the season, I probably spent close to 2 hours roughly playing the game and another 2 to 3 hours on Discord.
Mhm.
So it took up a lot of my time, especially during COVID. I
Yep.
bet you it was closer to 6 or 7 hours. But after season 3, I was just doing team events and I was just doing the daily race just to do it. And probably was close to an hour and a half, roughly 2 hours. And then when separation happened and that led to the divorce, it jumped to about 3 or 4.
Yep. Okay.
Pete, you got any
All right,
questions?
I'm going to go off Eva's lead and also ask my own question. This one is from me, obviously. Where did the name Spo come from, and how did it evolve to Daspo?
Okay, so back in high, so my dad's it's a play off our last name. Without doxing myself here, they called him Espo, and he used to race, and he had a teammate called with his last name Porter. So he had S Porter on his arm sleeve, and when they separated and he was no longer teammates with them, he took everything off except for the ESPO. So his nickname became Espo. And then as we grew up, people would call us Espo, and then it ended up changing to Spo. And then my baseball players, my teammates and stuff, started making like jokes like, "Do you guys know the Spo? Do you know the Spo?" Like it was just a funny thing. And then so the Spo turned into Daspo, and it's stuck, and people still call me Spo and Daspo today. My younger brother, he even shortened it, and he calls me Po. So it's just kind of funny play thing. But yeah, that's how my name is, and that's just stuck. And yeah, good question.
Excellent. All right.
I got a question from Larrikin. Shout out to Larrikin. Great person in the community server. Now, he actually had quite a lot of questions, but we've actually covered them in everything. But one thing that I think is actually worth asking you, given you're a mono expert, do you think that what you carry or wear as a character in-game can influence you fly or move on the mono wheel more than other vehicles?
So yeah, I think we've talked about this before, and I've gave it a lot of thought, and I think maybe if anything, the skeleton is probably the best one to use. I don't think anything really affects it that much. It's between all the mono wheel talk that between the pros and stuff like that. No one says use a cape or use a backpack or anything like that. I go back to Cody, who is just the mono king. I hope he's coming back. He always used the skeleton, and he was always on top. So I that's the only evidence that I could see. Less friction or whatever. But no, I don't personally. I don't believe that anything that you use on, as far as the skin goes, affects. I have heard that if you use the
Or lack thereof.
if you use the legendary part, the legendary mono wheel, I've heard it's a little bit less stable. But no, it's all got to do with tuning. And maybe if you don't tune that well, maybe it might come into play a little bit. But if you know how to tune the mono wheel, I don't think it has any effect at all.
Excellent.
Just coming off that, like everybody has their own style of playing, in terms of holding the accelerator down, tapping the brake, letting go of the brake, letting go of the accelerator pedal to tap the brake. With the mono, if you're holding the accelerator down while you're in the air, you're effectively rotating in the air. So do you change the way you play when you go from mono wheel to something else, or you obviously only play mono wheel to a certain degree? But have you noticed that?
Yeah, like the Moonlander, I really struggle with the Moonlander because it's mostly thrusters when you're using it, and I try to pitch it forward and I end up doing a backflip. So yeah, it definitely affects me. Yeah, I would say more so than any other vehicle. When I use the Moonlander, I try to drive it like a monowheel, and it takes me about 5 or 6 tries to realize that I'm not on the monowheel anymore.
Yep. It's muscle memory type thing.
Yep.
Now, this wasn't actually asked, but it was something we were talking about when we were chatting before we started the podcast. But you've got a substantial amount of PBs
I do.
through the monowheel.
Well, I
many is
posted
it?
them in there, and I think I counted them twice, and I think I have 86 PBs with the monowheel.
So that is where the vehicle that you've used best on
That's
that
correct.
track
86
is
of
the
them.
monowheel.
Yep.
Do you drive any other vehicles?
Well, I don't do cups anymore, so I only use other vehicles in team events and public events. And usually, if it's a public event, if it has the monowheel, I'll do it. And if it doesn't have the monowheel, it's got to be really fun, or else I don't even complete it.
Actually, following on that, on the recent team event, the monowheel was used there, and for most people, they wouldn't touch it. Did you try it on
Are you
every
talking
single
about the
track?
current one? The time attack?
Yeah. Yes. It's the current one. If
one
it's the
for
one that,
PC division,
yeah, the one that's
not the new one.
I think I get top 5 usually, except for 3 tracks. And I usually win on the big dunes, on Sludhammer, and Trial of Balance. I get top 3 usually every time.
Yeah.
But what about on the team event?
Okay. Oh no, the team event, Daspo. So the team event, yeah, it had the monowheel in there, but
I haven't been in a team for over a month and a half.
Okay.
So when you were playing that, would you use, if it did have the monowheel? Because I know a lot of team events don't really support the monowheel in making it the choice vehicle. Do you try it and just see what it's like on all the tracks?
I pick the best one. Usually, if
Or
it's a time attack, I'll go. I'll run it about 20, 30 times in the time attacks, and then I get my tune, and then I run it, and it usually works out pretty good for me. Yeah.
Mm.
And I obviously talked to Dark Smoke from the French Academy and
Good.
Vulcan and Cole, and we're a bunch of mono nerds. We're the outcasts, but yeah. No, I definitely try to use it. There has been one time where I didn't end up using the mono wheel because it just wasn't the fastest option. But usually I can get close to 8 or 9K with the mono wheel if it's the correct track.
Yep. Pete, any more?
Yeah, I've just got a bit of a strange question from Rex Zoo, but it's pretty standard for this guy. I don't know what else to do, so what is your favorite type of cheese and why?
What is this guy's deal? Does he ask this question every podcast? Is this the same guy?
It seems so.
God, cheese. Pepper jack, I would say. I'm pretty standard. Pepper jack is probably my favorite cheese, I would say. If I go to Subway.
Yep, excellent.
That's hilarious. Yeah, keep asking the question. It's funny.
Yep. Eva?
Mad Max asked a question. Shout out to Mad Max. He's usually somewhere making noise somewhere. And he's listened in a couple of times on the podcast, so pity you're not here today. But how many times have you wanted to throw your phone?
Oh, I've never actually thrown my phone, but during the season, several times. When you go against those guys, they're absolutely insane. And you get a run where you almost have a perfect run, and it shows up, and you finally beat it, and you're the top guy on the list. And then you wake up in the morning, and you're 13th, and you just want to. But now it's every time I get a world record, it's less than 24 hours, and someone beats it. And no one wants me to keep my records, and it's all fun and games, and everyone gives me a hard time for it. But they usually congratulate me, and then a few hours later they go beat it. So yeah,
Fair enough.
several times. I've never actually thrown it.
There's a question here from Cthulhu.
Hi.
Now, I'm assuming there's something more to this. How much air do you think I have let out of your monowheel tire over the years?
I'd have to count how many times he's done it. Yeah, probably close to 20. But I keep putting a can and keep stuffing his tractor exhaust, so yeah, it's even.
A big potato in your tractor exhaust.
So is there a bit of a rivalry there between the
Every
tractor
time
and
I
the
post something, he's
monowheel?
like, "That's air out of Daspo's monowheel tire," and I'm like, puts a bunch of sludge in Cthulhu's tractor exhaust, and yeah, it's good fun. I love that guy. Shout out to him.
Pete, any more questions?
I've got one from Cap A.
Cafe, how
Do you
doing,
play
man?
any other games other than HCR2?
Do I play any other games? No, I don't. I mean, I used to play Angry Birds back in the day. I used to play Candy Crush, and no, in the last 4 years, no, I don't play any other game unless I'm playing with my son. I try to learn Fortnite, and I try to play some of his Batman games that he plays and stuff like that. And what's that one where you play soccer with it's like a soccer game, but we're in vehicle.
Oh, you're
Oh,
using
FIFA.
cars, aren't you?
What's that one called?
Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember it.
FIFA? Not FIFA?
No, it's like with vehicles.
No.
And like you can either do you can do 2 people, 3 people, or 4, and like 4 people on a team and stuff. God, I know what that's called too. It's an Xbox game.
It's also on PlayStation.
It's actually on every. It's actually on
no,
everything.
Rocket League.
Rocket League.
Yes. Yeah, I do like
Rocket League. That's it.
I'm terrible at it, but I think it's pretty fun. But I haven't played it in over a year. Yeah. No, good question. No, I HillClimb Racing 2 is my go-to for sure.
Excellent. Me too.
Yep. Eva?
Yeah, I've got one more here from Just Chill. Big shout out to Just Chill. He also occasionally listens into the podcast while we're recording, so pity he's not here. If you could change one thing on HCR2, what would it be?
There's 2 things that I would change. When it comes to the daily race competition, I wish there was a filter so you could pick which vehicle you want to see. So like you wouldn't have to delete any of your friends, and you could say monowheel, and then anyone using the monowheel in your friends league would show up, and then it would be a list. Or if you,
That's a really good feature, Reese. You listening?
I've tried to talk to them. And the second one would be just like there's an adventure war, an adventure star, like see who like Zorro and Eric and all those guys that are at the top of the list for the adventurers. I think it'd be super sweet to take all the cups and you'd be able to have an overall player, and then you could even sort it by vehicle based off all the times they would just add up to each other, and you'd be able to see who the top player is, and there'd be no more arguing who the top player is. So like it'd be like an overall leaderboard based off all the cups. Does that make sense? Did I explain that good enough?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Oh, so like the adventure, like what the Adventure Stars is.
You'd have a
But
cups
you would have
one,
a
yeah. And be
cups
like,
one.
oh, let's see the overall cups. Then you could have an overall leader, and then you could have a filter by vehicle, just like you can go into each cup and look at each map and see who the top scorer is. It basically would just add up all the times for that vehicle. It'd be super easy to program. I'm sure Maury could even do something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
I want to say that sounds like a question / ask / please do it.
Oh, if they hire Maury, he'd get it done. Fingers off, are you listening?
This is true.
Well, thank you for the that plug, but I think we're going to finish up here. Unless there was any more questions that I think we need to ask, I think we've got through most of them. Most of them were also covered in what we were chatting about earlier.
I do have a question. It's for the all AUSNZ team players. But they consider gathering your top players that have max mono wheel GP and joining me for season 4. I'd love to see you guys give it your all.
I think we could rally some troops.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely put that out there.
The pressure is
Well,
on.
I'm definitely not going to join because I posted my alt account stats for my mono wheel earlier, and it's had 0 wins on anything.
I'll see you there. You better be ready.
I am ready. Bring it, brother. Since you posted yours,
Unfortunately, mate has no thumbs, so he won't be playing.
I will post my card right now so you guys can take a look at it. It's not as of today, but it's just a few days ago, and there it's in the community guest chat right now. Back in the day, before I started Mono Wars, I used the mono wheel in cups. It was a terrible one for cups, but you can see how many.
24 million. That's impressive.
That's a lot more than mine.
My goal is by
That
the
is
end of
impressive.
season 4, I'll have 30 million, but I don't know if that's realistic. When I first started season 1, I had 5 million meter, and that was
Wow.
April of
Wow.
2020.
Well, thanks for all of this, Daspo. It's been great chatting to you.
It's been an honor to be here.
You know, we put it forward to you. You've done a few shout outs and a few name mentions during the podcast. Is there anyone else you'd like to shout out to before we finish up here?
All the guys from the Mono Wheel Pro crew for teaching everyone that's in the Mono Wars how to run the tracks and everything like that. Those guys are awesome. You mean you got Datto, you got 73, Jebstone, Sandokan, McJack, but there's some up and coming guys. I mean, they got like DDC Jahani, who was the Mono King of season 3. You have Cody, who was season 2. Unfortunately, his account was banned, but I believe he is working on one. He's staying on the DL right now. I don't know if anyone knows. Maybe I shouldn't even say anything, but I hope he comes back. And then if I were to make a prediction who's going to win season 4, it would be Dark Smoke from the French Academy, the guy that beat you in that that public event. I think that was Eva or whoever was talking.
Pete was mentioning about it.
Yeah, and then Vulcan too. Vulcan's a beast. Cole, he's getting there. You know, he's finally got his stuff maxed. You got so many different players that are just so good. Lou Bob is an absolute stud. All those DC boys. So we got to get some AUSNZ. You got Rude Boy, who doesn't play anymore, unfortunately. But at least to my knowledge, he used to be on Stars and Stripes and Legion. But and then LHT. I love all you guys.
Very cool. So yeah, again, thanks for coming on. Our next guest next week is, who wants to do that announcement? Pete?
Oh, I don't even know who it is. Sorry, I haven't looked.
Oh, then you can't do the announcement, can you?
BroBot
Yes.
wants to announce that our beloved team chief, Goose, will be on the show in 2 weeks. Mate out.
There you go, mate's first announcement for the next guest. I don't think we'll make that a habit. But it is Goose who's coming on, that'll be a great chat there. I actually don't know who the one after
We're
that
working
is,
on that at the moment.
because I was going to give a hint, but I actually don't know
We're
who it
hoping
is.
it's an international player, so we will see.
I do have a request for someone to come on, and obviously, like Verishak would be sweet to have on there. But whoever does the Nemesis news, I think he'd be very interesting to get that guy on to talk.
That would be Dada. That's GTR's friend, Dada, from the Fair Play server.
Data, and then what's his name? There's another guy who does all of the leaderboards. At least he used to do it. The Fair Play server. Is that Data now? Is that Data now?
Yes, I think Dada still does it, but we need to double check that. I think maybe one of the Racing Legend players also helps out with stats.
I don't think you've ever spoken this much, mate.
Good to hear from you, mate.
Have you been spending a lot of? I think you've been spending too much time
No,
with GTR.
he's been going to the
Um,
zeros and ones gym, working out.
Oh, Vitter. Vitter is who I was thinking of.
Yes, high school and uni. I did a bit on like maths and physics and stats was stuff I actually studied. I actually do enjoy data as stats. They're actually some really good information in that. So kudos to those guys for spending the time doing that. But we're at the end of this one, and we'll see you back again in 2 weeks with Goose for episode 12. We'll see you later.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.